everyone, so we have a really busy night. We are going to do green chili chicken enchiladas, but not only am I going to do what we're going to have for dinner, I'm also going to do 2 for freezer meals. So I did make extra. I cooked 2 full or whole chickens in the crock pot and slow cooker thing that I have. Our chickens, when we processed them, they were weighing between 5 and 7 pounds, so they were pretty heavy duty chickens. I did about, I think this was about 16 cloves of garlic, 2 large onions. I did 3 of our baggies of green chili, but if you buy the frozen green chili, it's probably 2 of those if you're going to double the recipe, only 1 if you're not. That's just my extra chicken pieces, and then of course my chicken broth. Then we'll be using cream of chicken, cream of celery, and cream of mushroom soup along with cheddar cheese. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to saute the onions and the garlic in butter or ghee, whichever it is that you use. You can also do it in like olive oil or whatever oil that you use, but you want to saute these 2 together. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then we'll get this mixed up. Okay, so now that I have the onions and garlic sauteed or caramelized, what I do is I caramelize the onions, and just as they start to turn brown, that's when I put the garlic in it. Now remember, I am doubling this so that I can make some freezer meals, or I'm making a large batch. If you wanted to just do like a 9x13 pan, then basically what you would do is 1 whole chicken, I would say about a 3 or 4 pound chicken, 1 thing of like frozen green chili, or the green chili you can kind of do according to how hot you want it, and then one small or medium onion, and then probably maybe 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. So you're just going to mix this in. Okay, so now and then if you're doing just 1 of the 9x13s, you're going to do 2 cans of cream of mushroom and 2 cans of cream of chicken. Or if you don't want cream of mushroom, you can use cream of celery. I kind of combine the 2 according to what I have on the shelf. You can substitute cream of celery and cream of mushroom for each other, but you definitely want to keep the cream of chicken in there. So, but I'm doing 4 cans of cream of chicken, 2 cans of cream of mushroom, and 2 cans of cream of celery. And then if you wanted to make an even smaller batch, like if there's 2 of you, then you can just do a couple chicken breasts with 1 can of cream of chicken and 1 can of cream of mushroom or celery, whichever you want. And then of course the green chili and onions and garlic according to how you want it, how the spicy level and how much of that you want in there. I've said in previous videos how both of us used to cook for really large families and have really struggled learning to cook for just 2 people, sometimes 3, because my son's here sometimes. But rather than fighting the battle that we obviously seem to be losing, I thought, well, we can just keep cooking for large numbers of people, and make freezer meals out of it instead. Now, the aluminum ones, you can reuse those. You don't have to throw them away just after you eat them. Just be careful how you wash them, and you can reuse them. I have some that I've used for bread, and God, I've used those things, I don't know, multiple times. I don't really know how many. I just pop the bread out, and I'm just careful when I wash it, and I just reuse it. Okay, so we've got all the cans in there. So now you're going to mix that in really good. Make sure you get all the chicken from the bottom, because when you're making a big batch like this, it tends to kind of stay at the bottom, and then you end up with everything on the top and none of the soup's at the bottom. As soon as I get this mixed up, I'll show you what it should look like. That way you know if it's going to be too dry or if you need to add more of the... I'm making a mess. I always make a mess. And the chicken, I like mine cut really fine, so I either shred it or chop it really good. You can just use chunks of chicken, it's however you prefer it. But it should basically look kind of like a slop. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to dump our green chili in there. And I had a little bit of leftover, or not very much, that's probably about a tablespoon of cilantro. Cilantro is optional, but I thought since I just had a little bit left, I would go ahead and use it up. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to buy it if I want more. And then I'm probably going to, for this size batch, I'll probably do about probably 2 tablespoons of parsley. You can do more, you can do less. I don't really follow recipes. You just kind of got to do it according to how you like the flavor. And then oregano, I'll do about 4 tablespoons of oregano. Okay, get that mixed in really well. Okay, so now that all this is mixed in, you don't want your enchiladas like dry. So what I do, this is the broth from the chicken cooking in. This is the same as a pint-sized jar, it just happens to be one of my cups. I'm going to put in half of that and see what it looks like. So don't throw away your broth. I'll actually, what I don't use for this, I'll save and make gravy or something out of it this week. You don't want it really like soupy, but you don't want it like paste either. Okay, let's add a little more. So I did about 3/4 of that. Bless you, Joy Joy. Did you hear my kitty cat sneeze? Okay, I think that looks good. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this broth. It'll be fine. Just like I said, because these chickens that we had were huge. When we processed them, they weighed out between 5 and 7 pounds. And I think we even had a couple of them that were almost 8 pounds. They were monstrous. The first batch of chickens that we ever processed, It was a different breed than the Cornish crosses. And they were actually speckled Sussex, you know, the dual-purpose bird. Those ones were tiny. I think they weighed out at like 3 pounds. Okay, so now that that is all mixed up, we need to do our corn tortillas. So I will take you over to the stove and show you how I do that. Okay, the oven is heating up at 350. You're just going to put them in hot. You can use vegetable oil, olive oil. We use the lard that we render ourselves. You don't want them like crispy, you want them like kind of soft. So you just flip them over a couple times. They shouldn't tear, but they shouldn't be crunchy. So just kind of shake the oil off and then put them on a plate with paper towels to absorb the grease. And let's see, on the next one I'll see how long I kind of do each side. Because I kind of go by the way they feel and look, but let's see. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to flip it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe, I don't know, probably shorten it, maybe 7 on one side, but you kind of submerge it in there so it does get both sides. But when it starts to bubble up like that, that's when I flip it. And then it'll go flat, and then it'll bubble up again. And that's how you know on those. So let me get the rest of these tortillas done, and I will show you how we put it together. Okay, so first I'm going to make the one that we're having for dinner tonight. And I've patted it down to get the excess grease off. This isn't the 9 by 13. It's the next size down. I don't know the exact size. But the 9 by 13 or 9 by 11, whichever, I don't know, the bigger one. Those ones usually take 6 corn tortillas. So you're going to layer that down there first. Then put a layer of your mix. Then you're going to top it with cheese. Then you're going to do another. This one only takes 4. But like I said, the bigger pan does 6. Another layer of tortillas. And then your mix. And then on the very top, well, the top layer of cheese, I should say, I like to make it like a thick layer of cheese. You can use cheddar, you can use the taco blend, the Mexican blend, the marble cheddar, any of those will work just fine. There we go. Now for the top of the cheese. I shake pepper on it. Now I don't hardly ever cook with salt. I will every once in a while, but it's usually something that requires salt, like red chili sauce or something like that. But as far as our average meals, I do not cook with salt, so you can add salt to this if you prefer. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this one in the oven. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing to these ones, and then I'll be back once I get these ones filled and show you how I prepare them for the freezer meals while this one bakes in the oven at 350 until the cheese is all melted and golden. So I will see how long that takes. I'll set the timer and we'll see how long it takes till this is done. But you set your oven at 350. Okay, so now that I've got these put together, now I'm not going to bake these because basically, well, the chicken and everything's already cooked. So these will go in the freezer, especially with time change coming up, because we still do that in the area I'm in. The days are going to be longer, so I will be outside even later. So now what I can do when I get off work at 5, I can come in, put one of these in the oven, go outside, do what I need to do, take care of animals, get everybody put away, and then when I come in, dinner will be ready. So that'll save a lot of time. So I'm not going to bake these since the chicken is already done. So what I want to do is cover it with plastic or saran wrap or whatever y'all call it. I just try to kind of push out maybe any air bubbles that might be in there. Now when you put these in the oven, you are going to take the plastic and the foil off. One thing that helps when you do freezer meals, especially if it's maybe something, say, you don't make very often or it's a new recipe for you, if on top of the foil, you know, you write whatever your recipe says, you know, bake in oven at 350 for, you know, 20 minutes while you're putting these in there frozen, unless you take it out and let it thaw. So you'll want to, you know, bake it longer. But these ones, you're just, since it's already cooked, you're gonna bake it until the cheese is melted and golden brown. So I will take these and I will put green chili, enchiladas, and then I will put the date. Today's the 3rd, I believe. Now these won't last long enough to get freezer burned because this happens to be one of our favorite meals. But I'm thinking now I probably should have used my littler ones that are about half these size and just made 4, because eating one of these, we have like leftovers for days. And these ones actually, remember I was saying how the bigger pans use 6 corn tortillas, then the layer, and then 6 more? These ones actually use the 6. Whereas the one I did for dinner tonight was only 4 on the bottom and 4 in the second layer. So like you could put it on there and like say do 350 degrees until melted and golden. And then maybe in the corner you could put remove foil and wrap. That way if there's other people in your house that will pull it out of the oven, they'll go, okay, I need to remove this, I need to do 350. So they'll know how to do it. But those two are ready for the freezer. Let me check. And those are just about done. So as soon as, let me get these in the freezer and then I will check those again, see if they're ready, and then show you what they look like. Okay, so this was in the oven for exactly 40 minutes. It's got the golden crust on the cheese. I'll let this sit for probably about 10-15 minutes and then we'll cut into it and taste it. Okay, let's dig in here. It's gonna fall apart. That's probably way more than he'll eat, but that's okay. I'll just take a bite of his. Yum. Now green chili is a little spicy, but it's really good. Alright, so there you have it. Green chili chicken enchiladas. And enough to even put in the freezer to make meals for another time when we get in late or whatever. So it just makes things a lot easier. So just basically by doubling your recipes, you can not only make dinner, but set something aside for another night. This is one of our favorite meals, so I don't worry about freezer burn or anything like that. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys make it, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit us up on Instagram, and remember, every day's a new beginning. Stay blessed.